This is my AP Statistics Cumulative project, and I did it on how biased media in America can affect teenagers' opinions. So this title here, Save Aleppo, Save Humanity, is from an Al Jazeera article that I used in my survey. So just a little introduction on my topic. I did mine on Aleppo and the civil war happening in Syria. So my reason behind doing this specific study is that in America today, many teenagers and adults, their opinions are altered by the news that they provide themselves with. Western journalism often portrays events in the East in a biased way, either by not reporting on all the events or being selective with how they report on it. This impacts the way that Americans and the Western world views the rest of the world. The quintessential example of a media blackout, as people call it, is the events happening in besieged Aleppo. So Aleppo is a municipality in Syria that has been besieged by a rebel army who are against the dictator al-Assad. They are executing civilians in the streets, and for a while, Western media was not reporting on it. So on the internet, there was a huge movement to stop this Western media blackout. And I wanted to test to see whether or not this media blackout was true. So I wanted to further investigate that. So I wanted to see what the effects of biased media were. So does Western media alter teenagers' worldviews and opinions? And my goal is to determine whether there is a correlation between Western journalism and Holly Springs High School students' opinions. So my desired outcome for this was to find statistical evidence to prove that the media in America causes its citizens to believe certain things by not reporting on them. So my design for this, my population of interest is the students at Holly Springs High School in an English class during second or third block. So this is my population of interest due to the fact that English classes are pretty consistent with the grade and age. So an English 1 class typically doesn't have seniors. An English 1 class is typically only 9th graders, and they're typically around the same age. They usually have the same maturity level and opinions. So I used this matrix that was provided for us of all the teachers in the school who have a class during a certain period. So I labeled from 0 to I, or just 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on to however many number of teachers there were in the English department in second and third period, because those were the only periods that I could survey. So of the 6 random numbers that I found, these are the teachers that were provided for me. So I emailed the teachers, and only 4 of them allotted me the time to do the survey I needed. So I only surveyed Hill's class, Thomas's class, Lemoine's class, and English class. And here is a video that I showed them.
To everyone who can hear me, we are here exposed to a genocide in the besieged city of Aleppo.
I'm coming to you as an average person here in besieged Aleppo. We may not be able to send any more messages as regime forces push closer and closer. The airstrikes become more intense.
This may be my last video. More than 50,000 of civilians who rebelled against the dictator al-Assad are threatened with field executions or dying under bombing. Aleppo, saving humanity.
Here's just the survey that was shown. So I just asked their grade, political affiliation, gender, primary news source, whether or not they believe that we should send humanitarian aid, first and foremost, if they're even aware of what's happening, if we should help other countries facing oppression, and if we should intervene in foreign conflicts. So I made sure to reiterate that this survey was anonymous, so that they should be quiet and not help anyone else answer the survey, and that they should only answer part 1 before watching the video so they don't alter the second part of the survey. So my design continued. So after I collected all my data from the 4 classes, I placed all of my information into two-way tables. So I did 4 separate associations, an association between answer to question and their news source before watching the video, and the second was the association between answer to question and news source after the video. And so after I did these 2, I decided to just do a third one where I only tested the association before and after watching the video and their answer to the question. And that is the two-way tables here. I have my observed and expected values, and my n value is 80, and since I combined 2 sets of data, my n value for this is 160. So the last association that I tested was between gender and their answer to the question. So I decided to do a chi-square test of association due to the fact that I had categorical data and I was trying to test an association, essentially. So for a chi-square test, the null hypothesis is going to say that there is no association between x and y. And the alternative hypothesis is going to say that there is an association between x and y. So what you need for this is an expected value and observed values. So your two-way table is just going to be your standard expected values, and then to get your observed values, you have to do, for the individual cell, the row total times the column total divided by n. And you do that for each individual cell count, and that gives you your expected values. So the equation for a chi-square test of association is this. And so before I did anything, I wanted to define the alpha value that I was going to use. So I decided to use 0.10 instead of 0.05 because I felt like I wouldn't get an association that way. I felt like I would be reaching if I did that. So I've been referring to a question in the latter slide, and I use the same exact question for all 4 associations. So the question is, based on recent events regarding Syria, do you believe countries around the world should be helping Aleppo with humanitarian and military aid? So test number 1, I am testing the association between news source and opinion prior to watching the video. So the null hypothesis is that there is no association between these two, and the alternative is that there is. I ended up failing to reject due to the fact that my p-value was quite large. And if your p-value is greater than your alpha value, it isn't statistically significant, so there is no association. Here is the graph. If you look at it, it kind of seems like there might be an association, just due to the fact that there are a lot of yeses, but there is no association between the news network that they watch and their answer. Test 2, It's basically the same test as the last one, but it is after watching the video. And so the p-value went down significantly, 2.354, yet we still failed to reject the null hypothesis that there is no association. But this caused me to go into further inquiry regarding the association before and after watching the video, due to the p-value going from 5 to 0.3. So here is just another graph. As you can see, the yes did significantly go up. The blue has changed. But for part 3, I decided to just test the association between opinions to the question despite any other factors other than before the video and after the video. And so I did reject the null hypothesis that there is no association, thus alluding to the fact that there is an association. My p-value is 0.0589, and I would reject the null hypothesis due to the alpha value being greater than the p-value. This shows that there is a statistical significance because the p-value is less than the alpha. This helps to conclude that Western media does not provide information regarding certain topics in the Eastern world to teenagers in America, or even to adults for that fact, due to the association between not watching the video and watching the video. So here's a pie chart before watching the video, and as you can see, it is mainly yeses, but compared to with the video, it did significantly go up. Less people said no, over 10 said no, and indifferent went down 1. So there is a statistical significant association. And so my last test was testing the association between gender and their answer to the question. This wasn't in my original design. I'm trying to figure out if gender had anything to do with it, but I was trying to see if there were any other aspects that could have caused people to answer a certain way. So this is all prior to watching the video. I just wanted to see which gender is more empathetic, since that seems to be a common gender stereotype that women are more empathetic. I wanted to test it. So I actually did get a p-value of 0.09215, which is still rejected. So it does show that there is a relationship between gender and opinion, and it does have a significant association. Here is my graph, and the red signifying the female is dominating over all of the other ones, showing a correlation. So my conclusions for this study is that Western media and Eastern media were proven to cause high school students to believe a certain way on whether or not America should help a municipality besieged and under civil war, as well as an individual's gender causing them to believe a certain way. So it was proven that teenagers' opinions, or rather high school students' opinions, changed whether or not they watched a specific biased video. And it was also proven that their gender was also a factor in whether or not they believe we should send humanitarian aid. So that was shown to be statistically significant. And also high school students were proven to either have malleable opinions or proven to have news sources that don't provide them with enough information to make an opinion. Further inquiry is needed to test either of these